Welcome to SAP MM WM Mastery YouTube channel. In today's video, we will learn the Procure-to-Pay cycle, commonly known as P2P cycle in SAP S for HANA. So this video provides a clear end-to-end explanation of how procurement starts, how materials are received, and how vendor invoices are processed inside SAP. So let's see one by one. So the very first thing is requirements. So what is requirements actually? It is nothing but a purchase requisition in SAP terms. Okay, so a purchase requisition is an internal request raised by a department to procure materials or services. So this purchase requisition can be raised by any of the department in an organization, so to request a materials or a service or whatever it might be. So it defines what is needed, how much and when, and can trigger approval workflows as well as per the delegation of authority or as per the business process. So purchase requisition can have approval workflows. So PR is not a legal document, so this PR document will not be sending to any of the suppliers. So this is just internal document for the reference, and it is only used for internal planning. Okay, so let's go for the next thing. Next is purchase order. So a purchase order is an official and legally binding document sent to the vendor. So as we discussed just now, requirements is nothing but purchase requisition. So it's an internal document which is a reference for creating a purchase order, which is an external legal document which is sent to the vendor. It specifies, purchase order specifies material, quantity, price, delivery terms, that means so that like delivery date, and the taxes of that, and applicable taxes like GST, SGST, and VAT tax, and freight charges or delivery charges or whatever it might be. So we can include in taxes in the purchase order. Once the PO is created, SAP commits the budget and tracks the procurement progress. So this is the very second step in the procurement process. The first step will be purchasing requirements, and the second step will be purchase order. Then let's see for next step, goods receipt. So a goods receipt captures the physical arrival of goods in the warehouse. So goods receipts update stock quantity in SAP, and also it triggers quality inspection if required as per the business, and generates an accounting entries. Accounting entries here nothing but the amount which we are going to pay to the supplier, and it is going to hit in the GL accounts, which is like financial terms, which we will discuss in the later upcoming sessions, how these accounting entries are going to hit and how the stock is going to get updated in SAP once after completion of goods receipt. This all process we are going to see in the upcoming sessions. So here right now I want you to understand about what is goods receipt and what will happen if we post GR in SAP system. Okay, so this step ensures a PO has been fulfilled by the vendor. Okay, so let's go for the next step, invoice verification. Vendor invoice is posted after comparing the invoice with the PO and the GR. So successful verification updates vendor liability, post taxes, and prepares the transaction for payment processing, which then finance department will take it forward for the payment. Okay, now let's see why the procurement cycle is important. So the very first one, the usage of procurement cycle is controls purchasing. Let's see. So this ensures that every material or service is ordered through a standard process. Just now we discussed the process, right? So the very first thing is the requirement, and the second thing we will create purchase order, then we will do the goods receipt, then we will do the invoice verification. It avoids uncontrolled buying, helps negotiate with better prices, and maintains transparency in the procurement activities. So the next step is ensures on-time materials. So Procure-to-Pay cycle helps monitor delivery schedules and confirmations, making sure materials arrive when required. So this prevents production delay and ensures business continuity. And the next thing is managing suppliers. So through Procure-to-Pay cycle, organizations can track vendor performance, manage supplier relationships, and address the issues quickly. It promotes healthy and efficient vendor collaboration. So the next thing, track stocks and accounting entries. So every goods received and invoice postings updates inventory and financial accounts in real time. So this ensures accurate stock levels, correct valuation, and precise financial reporting. So these are all the key importance in using Procure-to-Pay cycle. Okay, so let's go for the next step. So here I would like to demonstrate about Procure-to-Pay cycle process flow. So here the very first step, like in the procurement process, the very first step begins with master data. So we have several kinds of master data which we are going to discuss in another separate playlist for the master data. So here I want you to understand about the process flow. So we will be having a material master or vendor master, so which contains the data. For example, if we have a material master, we have a data like a description and what is the unit of the material and what is the price of that and which department is going to buy. So like this, rest of all the data will be having which contains inside the material master. In vendor master, we will be having vendor information like name, address, phone number, email ID, and which company and under which plant and what is the currency of that vendor. So like that, we will maintain the vendor master data, which we are going to see in the upcoming sessions. Okay, using these master data, the initial first step is the purchase requirement. So just now we discussed, right, the very beginning first step will be requirements, right, purchase requisition. So to create a purchase requisition, we require master data, that too material master data. So with the help of material master data, we will create purchase requirement. I mean, this purchase requirement generation can be of many ways. Common method is creation of purchase requisition manually, and we also have an automatic purchase requisition creations with cross-module integrations as well. That too we will discuss in the upcoming sessions. So now we are just focusing on the basic process. So with the help of a purchase requirement, the next step is to create purchase order. So here, in between purchase requisition and purchase order, we have a step called contract or quotation. So this is not mandatory. According to the business, we need to activate these options like request for quotations and contract. So we will for sure discuss about the quotation and contracts in the upcoming sessions, but right now just focus on the area of the process flow. So the first step will be material master. So with the help of material master, we will raise purchase requisition. With the help of with reference to the purchase requisition, we will create purchase order. So in the purchase order, we need to mention vendor master data details, I mean the vendor code. Along with that, the item details, price and the material, and what are the taxes involved in that, is there any freight charge, and to whom it needs to be delivered, and what is the delivery address. There are many stuff to be mentioned in the purchase order, which we are going to discuss. Okay, so after the purchase order, we need to perform goods receipt process, which means goods are arrived at your warehouse. So once the goods receipt is done, we can post the supplier invoice. So once the supplier is done, then system will triggers the point to the finance department to pay the cash to the supplier for the goods. So this goods issue is refers nothing but once we receive the goods, we can issue the goods to the respective department for the production operations or maintenance operations. But right now, this goods issue is not relevant for the procurement process flow. I want you to understand just the process flow here regarding this goods issue and the quotation and the contract and the master data. These all the stuffs and all we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. I hope you are clear with the process flow. So let's go for the next step. So here I am just demonstrating you the SAP screens. So here you can see the purchase requisition creation screen, I mean the system interface. This is a header details. So in the purchase requisition screen, we have some tabs called general information, notes, items, attachments. In the general information, we need to give some header text, what the PR is for, so what exactly we require. So we need to mention some description here. Then we are going to choose the type of purchase requisition. So here we are going to choose whether this is a service requisition or the material procurement or the spare parts. Like that, we need to differentiate the type of procurement here. So according to the business requirements or business needs, we are going to configure these document types. That too, the configuration also we will discuss. Okay, the next thing, the notes. So here in the notes, we have a section called header note. So here we can mention whatever you're going to tell to your buyer. So since there is a procurement department in the business, so where purchase orders will be created, so that department will refer this header note. So what is the requirement is for, so which department needs this and what exactly the PR creator requires, so we can mention in the header note. Then we will go to the item details. In the item details, here we need to enter what is the material code, description, and the like a unit of entry will come automatically from the material master. So these things will come to understand very clearly when we are going to demonstrate the purchase requisition creation process in the upcoming sessions. So right now I'm just letting you know that here if we give the material code, and automatically the description and the material group and some of the data from the material master will flow into the purchase requisition screen automatically. And here we need to mention the quantity, how much quantity we require and what is the price of that. So here no need to give the exact price in the market, since the purchase requisition is an internal document. The price will come from the material master, and if you feel that the price is something different than mentioned in the material master, you can always mention the price in the purchase requisition. Later this price can be modified by the procurement department where the purchase orders will be created. And the last section is attachments. So under the attachment section, if you have any reference document for this purchase requisition, you can attach any attachments in the attachment section. So let's see what are all the subsections under the purchase requisition items. So the very first one is account assignment. So we have an integration. So materials management will integrated with the finance department, so to get the accounting related data like GL accounts or cost centers. So if we have activated automatic account determinations, this account assignment category will be fetched automatically. I mean the GL account or the cost center or the commitment item, whatever it might be. These terms might be new to you, I understand that. So once that cross module integration is done, that data will flow here automatically. The next thing is source of supply. So here for example, let's take a situation. So you are creating a purchase requisition and you know that the supplier who is going to supply the requested material, if you know that supplier, here you can assign that source of supply in this step. That means a fixed supplier. So even after assigning the supplier here, during the purchase order creation, the buyer can change the supplier. So next thing is contact information. So here who is the creator, so who created this purchase requisition, and his name and organization, group, and telephone, fax number. Some of this data will be fetched here automatically. And the next tab is delivery address. So here we are going to mention where this product is going to deliver. So here by default the plant address will be fetched automatically from the plant configuration code. So when we configure the plant, so we will give some address for the plant, right? So that address only will come and flow into the purchase requisition delivery address tab automatically. So if we want to change address, we can change it here. So let's go for the next details, the process flow. Under the purchase requisition items, we have a tab called process flow. Here you can monitor the entire process flow of the procurement. Okay, the first step here, if you see purchase requisition, once the purchase requisition is created, it will be converted to the purchase order. So once it is completed, you can see the status called completed. Then we need to perform the goods receipt. Once the goods receipt is done, that means once the goods are arrived into your warehouse, you will do the goods receipt. Once that step is completed, then it will trigger to the finance department to proceed for the supplier invoice. So once the supplier invoice is also recorded, you can see the flow here. If you see anything error or pending or something in particular step, for example, here purchase requisition is completed, purchase order is completed, and under the goods receipt if you see pending, so goods receipt is not yet completed, that means goods are yet to arrive into your warehouse. So that full process flow you can see under this process flow tab. I hope it is clear to you all. The next one we are going to see about the purchase order system interface. So this is how purchase order interface looks like. So let's see the header part. So under the general information, so we are going to give the supplier details here. It is supplier is mandatory in the purchase order creation, and the next thing, the company code, purchase group, and the purchase organization under the recipients. So this data we need to fill, and rest of the data according to the business you can fill it here. So we will see the demonstration in the upcoming sessions about the purchase order creation process. So similar to the purchase requisition, in the purchase order also we have items. So we need to give material code and what is the quantity, and if we have any reference, for example purchase requisition is a reference for my purchase order, you can give the PR number directly into the PO screen, so that all the item, quantity, price, everything will be copied from the purchase requisition to the purchase order screen automatically. So later point of that we can perform the changes in the purchase order screen. So let's look into the PO item screen here. So this is the PO item screen. So under the PO item we have even several more tabs are available, like general information, account assignment, delivery address, similar tabs like purchase requisition screen, but some extra tabs here. Okay, so under the accounting assignment, as I mentioned in the PR creation screen itself, so if we have done the MM and FI, I mean finance and materials management integration, so this account assignment details will flow automatically, so for the service or the material procurements. So then we have delivery address. So under the delivery address, by default plant address will come here. If we are going to change into the any particular address, we can always mention in the delivery address tab. So next thing we are going to see the goods receipt screen. So this is goods receipt screen. So here we need to enter the purchase order number. So once the purchase order number is entered here, the data in the purchase order screen, all the items will be displayed in the goods receipt screen. So here you can check how much quantity you received. So if you see here under the open quantity, so this is the quantity where like we mentioned in the purchase order creation. So here delivered quantity, if you receive 5 pieces, here you need to give 5. If you receive 10, you need to give 10. So how much stock you received into your warehouse, that much quantity you need to mention here, and you need to post the entries. So here you can see the stock types, unrestricted. So there are many stock types are available, like blocked, unrestricted, quality inspection. There are many, but we will discuss in the upcoming sessions very clearly. So right now I want you to just understand just how the screens looks like and what things is interlinked. So here the interlinked is purchase order number. So once we posted purchase order, so we need to use the purchase order number, and we need to perform the goods received once we receive the goods into our warehouse. And the next screen is supplier invoice. So here I want you to understand like how we are going to perform the invoice with respect to the purchase order number. So here if you see under the reference document category, to perform the supplier invoice, the reference we have is purchase order. So here we need to give the purchase order number, so automatically the item will flow into the invoice screen, and it will display what is the amount of that, and how much quantity, and what is the tax code, and how much amount we need to pay, and who is the invoicing party, what is the company code. All the data will flow into the screen. So this concludes the introduction to the Procure-to-Pay cycle in SAP Materials Management. In the next video we will begin the hands-on demonstration starting with purchase requisition creation. So thank you for watching.